start Eclipse application and specify the workspace location. Workspace means what? What is in the workspace here? Just some storage location where you want to store all the projects. Okay. So this is the second step. So start this Eclipse application. Start this Eclipse application. So here specify the workspace location. Okay. So this is a default location it is created. So the C drive users, so Dell folder, this is a workspace location. So all the projects are going to be stored in the location. So if you want to change, you can change. Just I selected OK. So there is a second step. The third step is specify the Android SDK location. Specify the Android SDK location to Eclipse. Specify the Android SDK location to Eclipse. So how to specify this Android SDK to Eclipse? So select window option. In window select preferences. In preferences select Android. After selecting Android, we have to specify. So select the browse option. In browse option, you have to specify the Android SDK location in your system where the Android SDK is available. Step 3. Specify the Android SDK location to Eclipse. So how to specify? Window, preferences, Android, browse. So specify the location of Android SDK. So this is the main home page of Eclipse. Okay. So here, what is the third step? So to develop Android applications, we need some supporting tools and libraries we need. Okay. So that tools and libraries are available in Android SDK. Select preferences. In preferences, select Android. So select browse option. So in your device, where the Android SDK is available, specify the location of Android SDK here. So in my device, it's available in C drive, Android software, Android SDK location. The main root folder. Okay. So not this one. Inside this Android SDK, you will get the main root folder of Android SDK. Okay. Select Android SDK location. Select apply here. So once you select apply button here, you will get the different versions of Android here. Android 1.5, Android 1.6, 2.1, like that. You got the different versions of Android. So what is the latest version of Android now? Lollipop means what? Lollipop means what? 5.0, right? Okay. The latest version is 5.1 now. So you'll get different versions of Android, like 1.5, 1.6, 1.2, like different versions you'll get. In my device, I configured up to 4.2. In my device, I configured up to 4.2. I configured. Okay. The latest version of Android is 5.1 is the latest version. The one great advantage in Android we are having. Let us take I developed an application using 5.2. Even you can test an application in 1.5 version also. You develop an application by using 5.2 version. That application you can test in even in 1.5 also. That low compatibility is there in case of Android. For example, you prepared one Word file you prepared in Microsoft. Let us say by using Word 2013 you created one file was. Okay. So if you try to open that file in the 2003, it will open or not? But at the time of saving time, you had to specify. So here in Android, we have a low compatibility here. You can develop the application in any version, that application will support lower versions. So in my system, it is configured up to 4.2. If you want to update, you can update. But why I have not updated is, I told you that initially from the beginner go for manual configuration. For experience, once you got some experience, you can go for Android Studio and ADD button. Even Google also stopped for this manual configuration. Okay, so if you get any future SDK support, if you get, that is only for the Android Studio. Now there is no Eclipse for developing Android applications. Eclipse is completely new. Eclipse is replaced with Android Studio. But for the beginner, directly if you go to Android Studio, you cannot understand anything. So that's it. For beginner, go for Eclipse. Then after that, once you get some experience, then you can go for Android Studio. At that time in Android Studio, you will get the latest version. 5.1 is the latest version, right? You will get 5.1 you will get. Okay. So here, so the Android environment is ready. The Android environment is completed. So now you can develop the Android applications here in Eclipse. Okay. So we'll see how to create one sample Hello World application. So if anyone is using Windows, already the software I copied in this system. Okay, copy the softwares and configure the environment. Okay. If you are not having Eclipse, then we'll see the alternatives. If you are using Linux, download ADD bundle. ADD bundle in the sense automatically you will get all the things. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. Just directly download ADD bundle, open Eclipse. That's it. Everything is ready-made. You don't need to do any manual configuration. You don't need to do. Okay. So here now Android environment is completed. Now I want to develop some Android applications. I want to develop in this Eclipse. Okay. So we'll see how to create a sample Hello World application. Okay, we'll see. So if you want to create an Android application here, go to File option. In File, you'll get an option called New. So in New, select Other. File, New, select what? Other. In Other, select Android. In Android, you'll get different options here. Creating an Android activity or Android application process or Android activity. So different options we got. We'll get here. So here, select Create Android Application Project. Select what? Android Application Project. Next. So it is asking, so what is your application name? Application name and project name both are same. So let us take my project name is Hello World. So what is the project name? Hello World is a project name. So application name and project name both are same. If you take the third one, what is the third one? Package names. So generally, what is the use of packages concept in Java? Discuss. What is the need of packages concept? Which is used to avoid the naming conflicts. To avoid the naming conflicts, we use this packages concept. Okay. So here, if you want to deploy your Android application in the market, you have to give the unique package name you have to specify. You have to give what? A unique package name. So I'll tell you, let us take a popular game called Angry Birds. Okay. I also will develop an application with the same name. With the name Angry Birds. So if game is popular, automatically the n number of people, they will create some sample dummy projects they will create and they will do the title as what? Angry Birds. Angry Birds Temple and Subway Surface. Angry Birds Temple and Subway Surface. So which one is the correct one? I want to know. Which one is the original Angry Birds or which one is the original WhatsApp application? I want to know this one. మీరు వాట్సాప్ అని కొట్టారనుకోండి ఒక 100 అప్లికేషన్లు వస్తే దాంట్లో ఏది కరెక్ట్ అని తెలుస్తుంది ఏది కరెక్ట్ అని వస్తుంది కరెక్ట్ టు అవాయిడ్ దట్ నేమింగ్ కాంప్లెక్స్ your package name should be unique. Okay, application's name may be same thing but the package name should be different. Okay, so at the development time you will not get any issues first. Once if you want to deploy your project into Google Play, so there you will get an issue. Your package name should be unique. Okay, so specify a unique package name here. So by default we got one package name here, that is com.example.hello. If you want to change here, otherwise you can proceed with this default one. Next. The next one is important. What is the next one? Minimum required SDK. Minimum required SDK for your application. So if you try to download some applications in Google Play, the Google Play will tell you your device is not compatible to install this application. Your device is not compatible to install this application. Why? Is there a reason, sir? Day before yesterday, I showed you one video file, beacons. Okay. So if you want, beacons is one of the Bluetooth low energy device. Beacon is one of the Bluetooth low energy device. So there is a hardware compatibility. This hardware compatibility is available in Android from Android 4.3. Okay. This compatibility is available in Android from what? Android 4.3. So if user is using the 4.3 and above version, then only that beacons will support. If user is using 4.0 or 4.1, so this version, that BLE concept will not work. So at that time, let us say user is installing my application. My application is completely working on beacons. User is downloading my application. For downloading application, user is going to spend some memory as well as some time as well as some data cost. Right? Data cost, time and memory. Let us say user is using a phone call Android 2.3.3 version he is using. He downloaded the application. He opened the application, application is crashed. So you got a message, unfortunately, let us say your Shoptimes application is closed. So what is the feedback we will give? I installed the application, but application is not working. So at that time, unnecessarily user time waste, memory waste, and the data waste. I don't want to waste the time of user, data of the user. So I want to provide a restriction to the user. Was in my application, I'm using some concept called beacons, which is working on Android 4.3 and above versions. So I want to provide this restriction. So if your device is having higher than 4.3, then only you can install. Otherwise, you cannot install. So here, I want to provide that restriction I want to provide here. So here, in the minimum required SDK, you have to specify what is the minimum version for your application. So the minimum version for my application is what? By default, you will get 2.2. So 2.2 is the minimum version. If user is using 2.2 or lower versions, my application will not support. My application will not support. My application will support only user is having 2.2 and above versions. So next, the target version and compile version means the latest one. In your Eclipse, what is the latest SDK you configure? That is the latest version. That is target SDK and compile SDK. Next one is the themes. Okay. Right now we are not concentrating on themes, so you can specify. Okay. Select next. That is the first thing. So here in the second screen, we selected two options. We selected here. What are the two options? Create a custom theme and create a theme. So how? I already explained you what is meant by activity. What is activity? Last class we discussed what is activity. How can I tell me what is the activity? Single screen in the application. User interface components, right? That is an activity. So here, at the time of creating the project, it is creating two things. So what are the two things it is creating? It is creating one icon, and it is creating one activity it is creating. Select next option. For the application, for Android application, the mandatory thing is you have to specify an application icon, you have to specify for each and every application. At the time of creating the project, we selected two options: create an icon and create an activity. So this is the first one. We selected an icon option. So this is a default icon which is provided. Eclipse is provided a default icon. This is the default icon for your product. So if you have your own icon, select browse option and you can specify your own icon. You can specify. If you have your own icon, you can specify your own icon, otherwise Android will be a default icon. But my question is here. My question is, why is created a single image in different sizes? LVPI, MDPI, HTML, and XML. So why is created in 4 different sizes? Because in Android there are n number of resolutions, n number of manufacturing companies, and n number of screen sizes. 2 inches phones are there, 3 inches phones are there, 4 inches, 5 inches, 10 inches. Okay. Now TV is also coming with Android platform. TV means 18 inches, 21 inches, next 36 inches, 48 inches. So there is no size, right? So here, if you develop an application, that application should work in 2 inches phone as well as 30 inches monitor and 48 inches screen also. So this is one of the biggest challenges. This is one of the biggest challenge for the Android application development. We have to develop an application that should support from 2 inches to 48 inches. How to develop? In case of PC, we don't have this problem. Every PC is having the same standard resolution. Let us take hardly 800 by 60 or 1024 by 760. So mainly the people will target 1024 by 768 for the web. But in case of mobile, this is the biggest job. But the talnopi pani endante multiple resolutions untai, multiple manufacturing companies untai. You had to build a single code for supporting multiple resolutions. That is one of the biggest challenge. For example, if you target, let us take I target only 5 inches phones. Let us take user is installed in the 2 inches device. Then what will happen? Only some part of the screen is going to be visible. So if you install in a 48 inches phone, if you install, only you will get very like a chinna part of the screen. In the space and the. So you see, for supporting multiple resolutions, so leave about 48 inches and all. Initially, Android is for mobile side. So now, TVs also came, but people are not targeting for the TVs. People are targeting only for the mobile devices and tablets. So mobiles and tablets in the sense hardly from 2 inches to 10 inches. 2 inches phones to 10 inches. 2 inches phones also very less. Let us say starting is 4 inches devices. Starting is what? 4 inches devices to 10 inches devices. Okay. So 4 to 7 inches devices are the mobile phones. From 7 to 10 inches are the tablets. 4 to 7 inches devices are what? Mobile devices. From 7 to 10 inches it is what? Tablets. Okay. So here, for supporting multiple resolutions, a single image is separated with 4 different sizes: low density, medium density, high density, and extra high density. So if you want to understand this one, so how it is separated? F0 So they categorize the screen resolutions into four types. If your phone is 2 to 4 inches, that is small, and 3 to 5 inches is normal, and 4 to 7 inches is large, 7 to 10 inches is extra large. This X large is for tablets. This X large is for what? Tablets. Remaining these two things only for mobiles. Of course, right now no one is using 2 inches, 3 inches. It's very small. Okay. So this is also not a only these two things, either normal or large. Okay. So X large is for tablets. X large is for what? Tablets. So at the time of creating the project, for supporting multiple resolutions, it is created a single image with 4 different sizes. It is created. Okay. So select next. At the time of creating the project, what we selected? 2 options we selected. What are the 2 options? Icon and so icon part is completed. So what is the next one? Activity. Next one is activity. I want to create an activity. I want to create. So here there are some samples are there. Blank activity, login sample. Like different samples are there. Settings activity. Let us take I want to create one blank activity I want to create. So select next. So remember one point. In Android, every activity contains 2 files. Every activity contains how many files? 2 files. The 2 files are one Java file and one XML file. In Android, every activity contains 2 files. What are the 2 files? One Java file and one XML file. So Java file is called as activity. XML file is called as layout. Java file is called as what? Activity. XML file is called as layout. So for every screen Android we need 2 files. Java file as well as one XML. So it is creating on default activity display. Okay. For the default activity, the Java file name is main activity and the XML file name is what? Activity underscore main is XML file. And what about this navigation type? So navigation type means here. So tabs plus swipe is plus right is string. So if you take WhatsApp, now this WhatsApp is categorized. In WhatsApp, there are three categories are there. One is chats is one thing, and calls and contacts. So this is called as swipe. This is called as tabs. This is called as what? Tabs. So in WhatsApp, it is categorized into 3 parts first. One is calls, contacts, and chats. So this is called as tabs. Next, tabs with swipe. Tabs with swipe in a sense. Let us say in WhatsApp, three tabs are there. If there are 10 tabs, I cannot present all the 10 tabs at a time, right? So now at that time, tabs plus swipe. Okay. So right now, initially we are not. So we are not taking any swipe or navigation type. Just select. I want to create an empty screen. I want to create. Select finish button. Select finish. So we create a project. created. What is the project can be specified? Hello world. So this is the project we created. Hello world is the project. If you see here, inside this hello world project, how many files are created? SRC, char, assets, link, resource folder. Again, there are n number of subfiles. So why these many files for a single project? Why these many files are folders for a single project? What is the need of each and every folder? You have to understand or not? Okay? So you have to understand each and every file. For example, how to create a Hello World application in Android. Even Google also will help you how to create Hello World application. Correct? So internals, no one will explain you what is happening. Why these many folders for a single project? What is the need of each and every directory, every file and objects? Right? So here, we are going to see how to create this sample screens and what XML file contains and what Java file contains. So first for a few minutes, we'll discuss the directory structure of Android application. So what is the next one? Directory structure of Android application. Okay. So the next thing is what is the next one? Directory structure of Android application. So we created a project that is Hello World project we created. Inside this Hello World project, there are n number of directories are created. One is SRC, next gen, pin, SRC, gen, pin, lives, assets, resource. In resource folder again, you will get n number of subfolders like drawable, layout, values, menus. Okay. Next. You get some subfolders. Next, after this one, an important file called manifest.xml file. These are the directories in a Hello World, in a project, in an Android project, you get these many directories you get in a project. So we discussed, right, for each and every screen in Android, we had to create how many files? 2 files. The 2 files are one XML file. Java. So all the Java files are going to locate inside the SRC folder. All the .java files is going to locate inside the SRC. The .xml files is going to locate in the layout. Even at the time of creating the project, we selected create one activity we created, and it is created on Java file. It is created as well as one XML file also is created. So we'll see whether really the Java file is created in the SRC folder or not. The XML file is located in the layout folder or not. Okay. So in this Eclipse, see Java file is located in which folder? SRC folder. This is the Java file. XML file is located in the layout folder. This is the XML file. So in your projects, we'll place all the XML files in the layout folder. The user interface XML files will place in the layout folder. Java files will place in SRC folder. Okay. So what is the next one? Next one is what? Gen. So in generated folder, let us take the next folder name is gen. Next one is what? Gen. In generated folder, you will get one file called r.java. In generated folder, you will get one file called what? r.java. What is meant by r.java? Don't say it's Java file. Resource X. So here, R is termed as resource. R is termed as what? Resource. I'll give the notes. Just listen. Okay. R is termed as a resource, which is an abstraction between the Java file and different resources from the resource folder. Meaning here, for example, in my project, I have some images. So for images, if you want to hold some images in your project, so there is a folder called projects. We will place all the image files into toggle folder. So all the XML files will place in layout folder. Let us take in toggle folder, I have a file called icon.png. I want to get that image into my Java code. I want to get this icon.png image into my Java code. So how to get that image into your Java code? This is located in the toggle folder. So that image you have to get it in which folder? The source folder. So R is termed as a resource, which is an abstraction between the Java file and different resources, which is available in the resource folder. Okay, R.java is an abstraction between the Java file and different resources, which is available in the resource folder. Okay, a resource may be a UI component. A resource may be a UI component, may be an image file, PDF file, or audio file, or anything. Any resource which is available in the resource folder. If you want to get a resource into your Java code, we use what? R.java. Okay. So here, this is the first statement about R.java. R is termed as resource, which is an abstraction between the Java file and different resources. R is termed as a resource, which is an abstraction between the Java file and different resources. Okay. Different resource. So in the brackets, a resource may be a UI component, a resource may be a UI component or PDF file, or it may be an XML file, or anything boss, any audio file, PDF file, XML file, text file, or any file which is available in the resource folder. The resource may be UI component or PDF file or XML file or any file. Okay. Next. So who will generate this R.java file? Eclipse IDE automatically. Don't specify this Eclipse, but in case of Android Studio will generate. IDE automatically generates R.java file. So who will generate this R.java file? IDE automatically generates the R.java file. That's why even if you remove this one also, the generated folder, we have this R.java file. Okay. Even if you remove this R.java file also, automatically it will generate. Because who will generate this R.java file? IDE automatically generates the R.java file. The third statement important you have to understand. For every resource, to create a static integer field in R.java. For every resource, it will create a static integer field. For every resource, we create a static integer field in R.java. So for every resource, to create a static integer field in r.java. Okay. So with the help of this integer field, with the help of integer field, with the help of integer field, we can get the resource into Java code. For every resource, we create a static integer field in r.java. With the help of integer field, the help of this integer field, with the help of this integer field, we can get the resource into the Java code. We can get the resource into the Java code. So I hope the first two statements you understand. What is in by r.java and who will generate this r.java file. The third one is what? For every resource, it will create a static integer field in r.java file. So meaning here, for example, in the resource folder, there is a folder called drawable. In drawable folder, there is a file called IC launcher, right? So this is one file, this is one resource. In layout folder, there is a file called activity_main.xml. Like for every resource, it will create one static integer field in r.java. Open this r.java file. Open this r.java file. See, R is a class. R is the class. From all the subfolders, you get one static inner class. Meaning for drawable folder or inner class, for layout folder or inner class, for menu folder or inner class, for each and every folder inside the resource folder, you will get an inner class treated. Okay. So here, for the main root class, you cannot apply a static one, but for inner class, you can apply what? Static. Okay. So here, for this drawable also, one class is created, inner class, public static final class drawable. Inside the drawable class, we have one resource. What is the resource name? IC launcher. For that resource, it is created on static field, public static final field, IC launcher. In your Java program, if you want to access this image, in your Java code, the drawable folder contains one image, right? If you want to access this image in your Java code, how will you write the logic? r.drawable.IC launcher. R is a class. For inner classes or inner variables, if the variables are static variables and static inner classes, you don't need to create any object. Correct or not? We discuss about static method. In case of static variables and static methods, we don't need to create any object to access. So here, these are the static variables, right? So directly you can access R is the main class, r.drawable.IC launcher. Okay. So which is used to get this image? Into your Java. For example, in the layout folder, we have an XML file, activity_main.xml. So how do you get this XML file into your Java code? What is the class? Layout.activity_r.layout.activity_. So for every resource, it will create one static integer field in r.java file. With the help of this integer field only, we can get the resource into the Java code. So who will generate this one also? ID only. So if you want to see, let us say this is we'll copy one image. If you want to copy any image, that image name should be in small cases. If you want to copy any file inside the resource folder, that should be in a small case. Okay? So this is a file, let us take dessert.jpg. So observe here, I am copying this resource in the drawable. So here how many static fields are there? Only one static field, right? If you copy the resource here, observe, immediately you will get one more integer field here. Previously we don't have this DES. We got this DES now. If you want to access this if you want to access that image in your Java code, how to call that one? r.drawable.des. Okay. So here, if you want to write, you can write some examples. For every resource, if you create a static integer field in r.java, with the help of this integer field, we can get the resource into Java code. Example. So r.drawable. Let's take IC launcher. So this is one example. Next, another one is r. Let's take layout r.layout. Activity underscore main file. Okay. So this is about the r.java. In which folder you will get this r.java file? In generated folder you will get the r.java file. So what is the next one? Next folder after this generated, bin folder. In the bin folder you will get a file called .apk file. In the bin folder you will get a file called what? .apk. So what is in this .apk file? In a hospital 45 degrees look like WDS, I don't know why. Huh? So what is the next one? APK. So APK is termed as Android application package. APK is termed as what? Android application package. So here APK is termed as Android application package. So which is the installation file in APK is termed as Android application package, which is the installation file in Android platform. Meaning if you want to install any application in Android, what is the file extension? That file extension is .apk file. Okay. So APK consists .dex, resource, assets, libs and manifest.xml. APK is termed as Android application package, which is the installation file in Android platform. .apk consists of what? .dex, resource, assets, libs and manifest.xml. Okay. So meaning if you extract the APK file consists of all these things: .dex, resource, assets, lib and manifest.xml. But how to extract the APK file? I want to see, boss, okay, you said APK means it's installation file. APK contains all these things. But really I want to see the APK file consists of all these things or not. So I want to see really the APK file consists of all these things or not. Okay. So tell me any popular application or game in Android. So we'll download and we'll see what APK file consists. Okay. He said Candy Crush. I'm downloading this APK file. I will extract the APK file and we'll see what APK file consists. Okay. Download block. How can you download? Otherwise, anyone is having the cable, mobile cable. He's copying the APK file. So here we have an APK file, Candy Crush APK file. Okay. So I'm extracting the same Android software folder. Okay. So this is the APK file. What is APK file? Candy Crush. So .apk file. So I want to see what this .apk file consists. Okay. So go to that Android. So open the command prompt and go to the location. So here cd space. So go to the location where that APK file is available. So to extract this APK file, if you want to extract, rename the .apk file. Let us take. I am renaming this APK file either zip file or rar file. So previously it's an APK file was. I am renaming that one to .rar file. I am replacing. So that APK file is going to be converted into the rar file. So normal rar file, you can extract this rar file. So double click on this. Extract. So this is a folder. Open this Candy folder and see what the APK file contains. Nice. I extracted the APK file. And what the APK file contains? .ex file. The given right, the given rows. APK file consists of ex, assets, resource, link, and manifest.xml. So when you extract an APK file, the APK file consists of all these things. Meaning indirectly here, APK means nothing but your project only. APK means nothing but what? The project only. So let us take. So this is a project structure, right? When you create a project, you will get so when you extract the APK file, you will get these things. But we'll write the Java code in case of SRC. The Java code is going to be converted into what? DX. We discussed already. When you are discussing about the architecture of Android, we have a virtual machine called DB. What DBM will do? DBM will take the Java bytecode as input and it will produce a .dx file. .dx file. So here, your SRC means nothing but the .dx file. What is the next one? Generated. We don't need the generated. We links. Okay. So links we need, assets we need, resource and manifest.xml file, and what are the Java code you use? Assets, link, resource and manifest.xml file. Meaning your entire project is converted into one single file with the extension .data. But directly you will not get the source code. Directly you will get the source code. Anyone can download the APK file. Anyone can extract the APK file. Can read it and they can deploy it. So that's why you cannot get the source code. Based on the source code, you need a .dx file. Remaining whatever the properties you use in your application. So all the things you will get here. If you want to see, so whatever the resources they use in the Candy Crush game. It's a Candy Crush game or not? Or screen background. Somewhere you'll get all the images. What are the images they used in the game? These are all the images what they used in the Candy Crush game. The game, this is called as spreadsheet. This is called as what? Spreadsheet or sprite sheet. When I went to some interview, in that interview question paper, there is a question called write one sample program for Sprite Animation. Write a program for Sprite Animation, boss. This is the question in the question paper. What is your answer? Write a program for Sprite Animation. Sprite and obviously what do you mean different is animation? Correct or not? So program is a so in graphics terminology, any moving object is called as sprite. In graphics terminology, any moving object is called as what? Sprite. In lot of places I see sprite. So what is in the sprite in the sense? In graphics terminology is what? Moving object is called as sprite. So generally, to avoid the memory wastage, we will create a sprite sheet. Prati image to 5K display will take a lot of memory. To avoid that memory, we will take all the images in a single file. For example, like image column only. We take the pixels. For example, what is the starting position, what is the ending position. So we take the pixels. So this is called as a sprite sheet. Is called as a sprite sheet. Okay. So these are all the resources which they used in the Candy Crush game. A game means nothing but images only, right? So art of moving an images. Moving an images is nothing but a game was. You say fine. Okay. So these are all the resources what they used in their game. These are all the individual images, but in the game, so these are all the resources what they used in the Candy Crush game. Okay. So here the APK file means nothing but what? The APK means nothing but so .ex file, resource, assets, and bin and manifest.xml. Indirect is nothing but the entire project is converted into one single file with the extension .apk file. Okay. So this is .apk. In which folder you will get the .apk file? In which folder you will get the .apk file? In bin folder you will get the .apk file. What is the next one? Libraries. So in the libs folder, we will place a jar file in the libs folder. In libs folder, we will place what? The jar files we will place in the libs folder. What is the jar? Jar means nothing but the Java object, which contains some Java classes and interfaces. Let us say in my project, I have a requirement list. Requirement is the links folder will place Java files in this. The requirement is, let us say I want to upload a profile picture I want to upload. So if you want to upload a profile picture, so you can take from your camera. Okay. After the image is captured, the requirement is image cropping function. The user can crop an image. Crop an image. Let us say I don't want to upload the entire thing first. Only I want to upload my face here. I want to upload. So at that time I want to crop the image. So if you want to provide that crop functionality manually, if I write that logic, it will take a lot of time for me. Correct or not? Minimum of it will take 1 month time for me for providing the crop function. So what I will do is, and I don't have that much time also. I don't want to waste that much time for creating this. Already other people have already created. So other people have already created. So they will use that one. They will use that set of classes and interfaces as a jar. Because once again you need to write this cropping functionality. I already created. Just use these classes and interfaces. Just call this particular method. That's it. You will get a cropping function. QR code reading is there, right? QR code reading, barcode reading. So manually, if I start research that, it will take a lot of time for me. That's one of the requirements in my project. Reading a QR code. So manually, if I want to write that clause, it will take a lot of time for me. But I don't want to. I don't need to write. They are already. Some other people are developed. They are already giving the classes and interfaces as a Java. So that's why my project is completing first within 1 year or 2 years. Otherwise, for QR coding 2 months, for image cropping 2 months. Next. So like for displaying graph, it will take another 2 months. But these things only will take a time. Then when I have to do my project, right? So in my project, almost all I use 12 libraries I use in my project. For displaying maps, for displaying for image cropping, for this next one more thing is for displaying graphs. Like almost all 12 libraries I did for reading barcode, for reading QR code. Okay. So here, meaning you get some third-party libraries you get. Libraries in the sense, some set of classes and interfaces. They will provide you the set of classes and interfaces as a jar file. So just you had to copy that jar file. You had to put that jar file into your project which folder? In which folder? In libraries folder we had to place the jar files. Okay. So definitely you will get a requirement of using some third-party APIs you had to use. So at that time they will provide you a jar file. Put that jar file in your project LIBs folder. Okay. So what is the next folder name? Assets and resource. So try to understand what is the difference between assets and resource. So assets and resource, which is used to hold assets and resource, which is used to hold resources in the application. Assets and resource, which is used to hold resources in the application. Meaning in your project, if you have some audio files or text files or PDF files or anything, if you want to hold the resources, you can put the resource in assets folder or resource folder. Okay. But why we need two separate folders? If both are for the same requirement, right? What is the requirement? Which is used to hold some resources in the application. If you want to hold some resources in the application, go for assets folder or resource folder. If both are for the same requirement, then why you need two separate folders? One folder is sufficient, right? Either assets folder or resource folder. But here, why you need two separate folders? Resource and assets. So here, we downloaded an APK file, we downloaded an APK file Candy Crush APK file we downloaded, and we'll see where they copied the resources. Either in resource folder they copied or in the assets folder they copied. Okay. So open this resource folder. In resource folder, see few resources they copied in the resource folder. Few resources they copied in the resource folder. But if you open this assets folder, you'll get n number of things. If you open one subfolder, again you'll get n number of subfolders you will get. This is in one folder. Like there are n number of folders are there, n number of files. Why they copied few resources in Xml in resource folder, and why they copied few resources in the assets folder? For each and every stream in Android, we had to create how many files? Two files we had to create. What are the two files? Java file and one XML file. So here, if you put a file in resource folder, there are two folders which is used to hold the resources. What are the two folders? Resource and assets. If you put a file in the resource folder, you can access that resource in XML as well as Java. For each and every stream you have to create two files. What are the two files? XML file and the Java file. If you put a resource in the resource folder, you can access the resource in XML as well as Java you can access. So, but if you put a file in assets folder, you cannot access in XML. Only can access into what? Java. You understand what's the difference? For each and every stream, you have to create two files, one XML file and one Java file. See one thing, XML is used for designing the user interface. XML is used for designing the user interface. Meaning you can create a button for using XML codes. But when you click the button, I want to perform something. I want to perform some logic. I want to send some data to the server. I want to receive some data from the server. Creating a button using, you can create by using XML. But when you click the button, I want to send some data to the server, I want to receive some data from the server. If you want to perform these actions on the button, you cannot write the logic inside. That logic you have to write in Java. So XML is only for creating the user interface. That's it. For each and every string, you have to create these two files, the Java file as well as XML. So if you put a file in resource folder, you can access in XML as well as Java. But if you put a file in assets folder, we cannot access a resource in XML. Only we can access a resource in Java. So here, second difference is, if we put a resource in resource folder, if we put a resource in resource folder, we can access the resource. If we put a resource in resource folder, we can access a resource in XML and Java. If we put a resource in resource folder, we can access a resource in XML and Java. We can access. But if we put a resource in assets folder, we cannot access in XML. Only we can access in Java. Put a resource in resource folder, we can access the resource in XML and Java. If we put a resource in assets, we cannot access in XML. Only we can access in Java. So here, for effective memory management, put the resources in assets folder. Why? For effective memory management, put the resources in which folder? In assets folder. Why assets? Why not resource folder? Because for every resource, it will create a static integer field in order.java. Because for every resource, it will create a static integer field in what? The r.java file. For effective memory management, put the resources in assets folder, because for every resource, it will create a static integer field in r.java. We come to the explain. So in the Candy Crush game, if you observe, they copied a lot of resources in assets folder, not in the resource folder. Why? Because of the statement. Because of for every resource, we create a static integer field in r.java. Creating static integer field means what? Creating integer field means what? Tell me first of all. We will allocate some space or not. For every integer field, we will allocate 4 bytes of space in case of Java. Let us take in my project there are 20,000 images. Only about 20,000. Let us take 10,000 images are there in my project. So if I copy all the 10,000 images in the resource folder, what will happen? 10,000 into for every resource 4 bytes. So 10,000 into 4 bytes. How much? 40,000 bytes. Okay. Unnecessary memory wastage or not? Okay. Unnecessary memory wastage. To avoid that memory wastage, if it is a requirement, if it is mandatory to get the resource in XML folder, then we don't have any option. At that time, we have to copy the resource in resource folder. If you are accessing the resource in your Java code, then put the resource in assets folder. The Candy Crush game, everything is a dynamic logic. It's not XML files. Candy game it's not XML. It's completely through coding only we have to write. So that's why all the resources they copied in the assets folder. if you are accessing the resources through XML, you have to copy the resource in resource folder. Okay? So here, to avoid the memory wastage, put the resources in the assets folder. If it is mandatory of getting the resource in the XML file, so those resources put into which folder? As resource folder. Okay. The last one is, if the resource is available in resource folder, the resource is available in resource folder, we can get the resource. Sorry. If the resource is available in resource folder, we can get the resource into Java. We can get the resource into Java by using r.java. We already discussed about r.java file. It's an abstraction between the Java file and different resources. The resource is available in resource folder. We can get the resource into Java by using r.java file. If the resource is available in resource folder, the resource is available in assets folder, we can get the resource into Java we can get the resource into Java code by using assets manager or asset manager. There is a class called asset manager is a class. By using this asset manager class, we can get the resource into the Java code. The resource is available in the resource folder. We can get the resource into Java code by using r.java. The resource is available in the assets folder. We can get the resource into Java code by using a class called asset manager is a class. Okay. So this is the differences about the resource folder and the assets folder. So in the resource folder, again they categorized into subfolders like drawable, layout, values, raw, different folders. Drawable folder for generally for images, layout folder for XML files. So you'll get some more folders like menus, values. Slowly you'll understand all these things. Raw folder generally we use. If you have any audio files or PDF files, if you have, we'll put the files into the raw folder. Of course, by default you will not get the raw folder. Manually, if it is necessary, you can create a raw folder. Okay? So this is the differences about the resource folder and assets folder. So we have one last file. What is that file name? Android manifesto.xml file. Android manifesto.xml file. So manifesto.xml file gives the complete description. Manifest.xml file gives the complete description about the project. Manifest.xml file gives what? The complete description about the project. Manifest.xml file gives the complete description about the project. The complete description in the sense, how many activities are there? How many activities are there in the project? How many services are there? Whether user need any permissions? Next, how many activities? How many services? Or the user need any permissions? Or application version? The minimum version. The minimum version of the project. Like each and everything. The minimum version of the project. So like each and everything about our project will specify in the manifest.xml file. Manifest.xml file gives the complete description about the project. Complete description in the sense, how many screens are there, how many background services are there, whether the user need any permissions. Next, what is the application version, what is the package name, what is the application icon. Like each and everything will specify in the manifest.xml file. Android platform Android platform before installing the application. Android platform before installing the application and before starts the application. It reads manifest.xml. Android platform before installing the application and before starts the application. First it reads what? The manifest.xml file. So meaning here, actually we are developing the Android applications by using Java. We are developing Android applications by using Java. But by using which programming language the Android platform is developed? We discussed already this one, this week we already discussed. We using C and C++. So I had to specify about my application to the Android platform because these are the screens in my project. So these are the background services in my project. So I want to give some description about my project to the Android platform. So if you give that description in a Java programming language, the Android system cannot understand your Java because it's developed by using C and C++. So to specify about your Android application to the Android platform, you have to write one interoperable format. That is nothing but the XML. So XML, if you write the data in XML file, XML can be read by any programming language or not. XML is called as interoperable, which can be read by any programming language. So that's why the extension is not XML file. So if you specify in this XML file, this XML file will tell to the Android platform. This XML file will tell to the Android platform. Okay, this is a project name, this is alpha. So these are the screens which is having it. Okay. So if you read the next statement, Android platform before installing the application and before starts the application, it needs a manifest. So if you try to install any application, the application will show you what this application wants to access. Have you observed? This application wants to access your internet, your Wi-Fi, and your media information or your location information. Okay, if you accept, then only it's not installed. What you are giving? It's an accept. Then only you can install the application. Meaning, directly we cannot access the Android components. We have to specify some permissions in the manifest.xml. What my application wants to access. My application wants to access your location, your Wi-Fi, your media information. Okay, if you are okay with this, then only install the application. Otherwise, don't install the application. Okay, so where you specify the permissions? Where you specify the manifest.xml. And when it is asking, first you need to install these things before installing the application. If you try to install, first your Android platform reads what? Manifest.xml file. Let us take I install on project I install. In my project there are 1000 screens are there first. In my project there are 1000 screens are there. At a time you cannot display 1000 screens, right? Out of 1000 screens, how many screens you can display to the user? It is only one screen will display. Out of 1000 screens will display only one screen to the user. Where we have to configure that one also. These are 1000 activities are available in the project. Out of these 1000 activities, this is a starting activity. That property also we have to configure in the manifest policy. Android platform before installing the application and before starts the application. Before when it starts, only to read, okay, there are 1000 activities are there. Out of 1000 activities, this is a starting activity. Okay, so it needs a manifest.xml file before starting the application. So this is the directory structure of Android application. So when you create any project, if you create any project in Android, it may be an annual configuration, or it may be Eclipse IDE or ADD content, or it may be any platform. We close or manage any platform. when you create a project in Android, you get these many directories. You get these many directories. I hope you are clear about each and every directory. What is the meaning of each and every folder, file, and what was? Clarity of so next, let's 6:50. Take a small break up to 7 o'clock. Okay, just come back and we'll see what this XML file contains and what this Java file contains. For each and every skill, you have to get two files, right? What are the two files? XML file and the Java file. We'll see what the XML file contains and what the Java file contains. Okay? And we'll execute our first hello world application. We'll execute. Okay? So exactly, let's start at 7 o'clock. Okay?
ఎవరు మనమా ఎవరు చెప్పినారు ఇప్పుడు చూసి చెప్పినాడా
రేపు ముందే చెప్పినాడు 18 కన్నా తక్కువ నువ్వు చెప్పమన్నాడు నీ ఫోన్ నెంబర్ చెప్పా కంప్యూటర్ ఏది ఉందా ఫోన్ నెంబర్ చెప్పు
ఇట్లా గుర్తుపెట్టుకుంటావా 9600 76 249 629
9676 249
629
ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయాలని ఫోన్ చేశాను
ఏం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయాలా
అంటే ఇంగ్లీష్ రాసుకుంటా అలా వాళ్ళు డౌట్ చేసుకుంటున్నారా వైరస్ ఉంది ఇంట్లో
దీంట్లో వైరస్ ఉంది మరి
ఉంది కదా ముందు చెప్పాలంటే సరే
అయిపోతుంది ఎవరికి కాదు 2.5
నీదేనా సగం ఉంది కదా
అది మ్యాండేట్ రన్నింగ్లో ఉంది ఇవన్నీ స్లోగా
అంతా అయిపోయింది
అంతా వేయలేదు
అది
ఓన్లీ
సాఫ్ట్వేర్
ఎక్సర్సైజ్ కోసం
So shall we start? Shall we start, boss? ఫస్ట్ ఆ ల్యాప్టాప్ అయిపోయిన చేతులు తీసేస్తే అన్నీ నేర్చుకుంటారు. అది మీకు అనవసరం ల్యాప్టాప్ లో చేతులు పెట్టి. అసలు ఈ ఎదవ ఐడియాలన్నీ ఎవరిచ్చారేమో కానీ నేర్చుకునేటప్పుడు అవసరమా బాస్? సిస్టమ్స్ అవసరమా చెప్పండి నేర్చుకునేటప్పుడు? నా పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూ అయితే అవసరం లేదు ఫ్రాంక్గా చెప్పాలంటే. సో మై బెస్ట్ అప్రోచ్ ఈస్ క్లోజ్ ఆల్ యువర్ ల్యాప్టాప్స్, కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ ఆన్ ద సెషన్. నాకు మీరు ఏం చేస్తున్నా నాకు తెలియదు కదా, మీరు క్యాండీ క్రష్ గేమ్ ఆడుతున్నారా లేదంటే ఇంకేమైనా చూస్తున్నా నాకు ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది బాస్? So at the class time, please concentrate on the class. I don't want to give more lecture. Okay. So okay, what is the next one? My requirement is just I want to print. I'll tell you one thing, boss. There is a place called Maitrivanam in Hyderabad. One of the famous training place in the world. Not in India, not in Hyderabad, boss. In the entire world, there is a best area for training. Just like in my institute also. Let's say if you take core Java classes, I mean not my institute, so one of the working institute. For Java sessions, there are 1,000 people or more than 1,000 people per a classroom. Hardly here we are how many members? Maximum 40 or 50 was. So there, 1,000 members per a classroom. 1,000 members, they will concentrate on only the class purpose. Only they will listen the class. I love that place, and I also love to sit along with them because ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ఏంటంటే తెలుసా వెంచి అనమాట నేర్చుకోవాలి లైక్ జాబ్ నేర్చుకోవాలి సో అన్న ఆ కసి ఉంటుంది కదా ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ఫేస్లో మార్నింగ్ 5 గంటలకు లేచి 6 గంటలకు లేచి సో హాస్టల్లో ఉండి ఫుడ్ లేకుండా ఫుడ్ ఉన్నా ఎక్కడెక్కడ నుంచి ఇంటి నుంచి ఎక్కడెక్కడ వచ్చి మార్నింగ్ 7 o'clock క్లాస్లో వచ్చి కూర్చొని ఉంటారు ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ఫేస్లో ఏంటంటే want to learn something, I need a job. But మీకు ఇక్కడ బస్సులు ఇచ్చి ల్యాప్టాప్ ఇచ్చి ఇన్ని ఇచ్చినప్పుడు ఏంటంటే నాకు ఎవరిలో కూడా ఎంతూజియాజం అనేది కనపడట్లేదు ఎందుకో మరి ఎందుకంటారు చెప్పండి మీరే చెప్పండి ఒకసారి ఆర్ యూ ఫీలింగ్ లైక్ ఐఎమ్ సెటిల్ అనుకుంటున్నారా ఏమన్నా నేను సెటిల్ అయినా నాకేం హాస్టల్గా అనుకున్నారా నో రైట్ then అంటే ఎందుకంటున్నానంటే నేను క్లాస్ ఉన్న చోట ఓకే some people will listen the classes other remaining 2 classes are there right I don't know what they are doing come on boss supporting trainers are there boss they cannot argue and they cannot tell you right correct or not ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఎవరైనా మేడం ఉన్నారనుకోండి మీ దగ్గర వచ్చి ధైర్యంగా ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నావు క్లోజ్ అని అంటారా దే కెనాట్ టెల్ యూ ఎనీథింగ్ బికాస్ దే డోంట్ హ్యావ్ దట్ మచ్ రైట్స్ బాస్ ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ సో అందుకే మీరు కూడా ఏంటంటే మీరు ఇష్టం వచ్చింది చేసుకోవచ్చు కరెక్ట్ అన్నాడు వేరే వాళ్ళ కోసం నేర్చుకోవద్దు బాస్ నీ కోసం నువ్వు నేర్చుకోవాలి ఓకే నీ ఫ్యూచర్ బ్రైట్గా ఉండాలనుకుంటే నేర్చుకోవాలి లేదంటే అవసరం లేదు లైట్ తీసుకోవాలి this is not for you boss this is for other remaining 2 classes also because they are also in online course okay because నాకు వచ్చిన ఫీడ్బ్యాక్ ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళ పనులు అదే చేసుకుంటున్నారు ఇప్పుడు నేను నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్కి వెళ్ళారనుకోండి మీరు కూడా అంతే అనేదో అని చెప్పుకుంటున్నారు మనకు కాదు కదా కరెక్ట్ అన్నాడు సో ఫస్ట్ క్లాస్ లెట్ us take what is about Android architecture of Android I explain the second room అయితే first room అయితే ఇప్పుడు మీ ఆ రూమ్ ఏంటంటే దే ఆర్ క్లియర్ విత్ దట్ దోస్ టాపిక్స్ బికాస్ ఐఎమ్ దేర్ రిమైనింగ్ 2 క్లాసెస్ ఏంటి లేదు సార్ ఒక్కసారి స్వింగ్ చేయండి ఒకసారి పైకి వస్తుంది ఐదు Shall we start? So, lesson of the story is what you know. ఫ్యాకల్టీ ఏ క్లాస్లో ఉంటే ఆ క్లాస్లో కాదు, మిగతా క్లాస్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు కూడా కాన్సన్ట్రేట్ చేయండి అని చెప్తున్నాను. I tried a lot to change this system, but the people is not changed. No, we are in a high-tech world. The classes should be also in high-tech. Correct or not? Okay. So let us take, my requirement is very simple. The requirement is, I want to print this message on the screen. So I want to print this message on the screen. In the mobile phone, I want to display this message. Welcome to APSS. This is a message I want to display on the screen. So this is one activity, right? This is one activity. So for this activity, we had to create two files. What are the two files? XML file and one Java file. Okay. So we created one project also. We created Hello World project. We created. So now in this Hello World project, we'll see how to display that message. Welcome to APSS. Okay. So for each and every screen, we had to create two files. We had to create one XML file and one Java. So we'll see what XML file contains and what Java file contains. So first, open and see the XML file. So XML file is available in the layout folder. Open the layout folder, and this is the XML file. This is the XML file. When you are discussing about the features of Android, one feature we discussed, Eclipse is providing the rich development environment. Eclipse is providing what? Rich development environment for developing Android applications. So rich development environment in the sense, so rich development environment in the sense here, you can design the user interface by using drag and drop. See, I'm a developer. I don't want to waste my time for creating the user interface. Okay. So here, for example, I want to create some text I want to display. So if you want to display some text, already we have some text samples are there. Large text, medium text, small text. So we have some text samples. So just drag and drop. For example, I want to display this message. Welcome to APSSD in large text. So directly, you can use this one. Just drag and drop. So you can use a drag and drop support. You can use directly. But if you use drag and drop, internals you cannot understand what is happening internally. Correct or not? If I use drag and drop, you cannot understand the internals what is happening when you use drag and drop. Okay. So here, best approach is initially for a few examples, we'll create the user interface by using XML. We'll not take the drag and drop support. We'll create the user interface. Manually we'll create so that you'll understand what is happening internally. Then we'll go for drag and drop. So if you want to see the XML file, what the XML file contains, so if you want to see what the XML file contains, so select this one. Here we have two options are there, the graphical layout and the XML part. So once if you select this activity_main.xml, you will get the XML code. If you select the graphical layout, if you select directly, you can create the user interface by using drag and drop. So initially, well, for a couple of examples, we will go for manually. Manually, we will create the XML file. So this is a XML file. This is a XML file. In this XML file, so leave out the first statement. This one, relative We'll discuss about the relative layout. And what is the next one? XML ns colon Android is equal to some URL. What is that URL? We discuss this concept. Relative layout. We'll discuss the relative layout part. And below the relative layout, there is one statement: XML ns colon Android is equals to some URL. What is that URL? That URL is nothing but the namespace. That URL is nothing but XSD location. That URL is nothing but what? XSD location. We discussed about XSD. Where we discussed about XSD? What is in by XSD? XSD is termed as XML schema definition. What is the use with that XSD? What is the use with that XSD was? If you want to create your own rules to the XML file, we'll create what? XSD will create. So meaning here, for example, already in the relative layout, there is an attribute called layout underscore width is an attribute. Android colon layout underscore width is an attribute. So once again, if you configure the same attribute here, once again I specify the same thing. So it is giving an error. See what is the error? The error is attribute layout underscore width was already specified for an element relative layout. Where this restriction is configured for this XML file? Because it's not a programming language, right? It's normal, a text file with extension .xml. So how this XML file knows this restriction? XSD. Okay. If you want to create your own rules to the XML file, we can configure our own rules to the XML file by using XSD. So this XML file is also following one XSD. Okay. This is the URL of the XSD. Okay. So in this XML file, to create this XML file, we had to follow some rules. Those rules are configured in the XSD. So if you are not following any one of the rules of XSD, the XSD will give an error. Okay. Inside that relative layout tag, how many times you can configure width attribute? Only once. That rule is configured in the XSD. Okay. So this is the URL of the XSD location, meaning every time it will not connect to the internet and it will not get the rules. This URL is configured somewhere in your SDK. We specified the Android SDK location, right? In that Android SDK location, all these rules are available. And what about this XML NS? XML NS is termed as XML Namespace. XML NS means XML Namespace, which is used to give a shortcut name for the URL. This is XSD URL boss. It's very difficult for me to specify each and every time. For example, for each and every attribute you have to specify here. So this attribute is configured. This layout underscore width attribute is configured in this URL. This layout underscore height attribute is configured in this URL. Like we have to specify. For each and every attribute you have to specify what? The URL is you have to specify. It's difficult to remember the URL or not? It's difficult to remember the URL. So that's why we given a shortcut name for the URL. What is the shortcut name? Android is a shortcut name. Can we replace this Android with some other name? Can we replace? So here, every tag we have to specify with whatever the shortcut name you specified. Because this is the shortcut name for the specified XSD. Okay, URL. You can give any name. Okay, that is the first line. In the XML file, the first line is what? The location of the XSD, and we given a shortcut name for the XSD, that is Android. Okay. Next, this tools is not necessary. You can remove the tools. Wherever the tools is available, you can remove that one. Next, So before this XSD, what is this one? Relative layout. So what is in this relative layout? Hmm? So relative layout is one of the UI. So first list out some list of UI groups in Android. Okay. So mainly UI groups are used to arrange. UI groups are used to arrange UI groups are used to arrange UI groups are used to arrange the UI components. UI groups are used to what? UI groups are used to arrange the UI components. Okay. So here some of the UI groups are the linear layout is one UI group, the linear layout, table layout, relative layout, table layout, relative layout, and frame layout. There is no grid layout, grid view. So linear layout, table layout, relative layout, and frame layout. So these are some of the UI groups in Android. Okay. So next thing is some of the UI components in Android. So some of the UI components are one is text view, edit text, buttons. There are different buttons out there like custom button, image button, toggle button, custom button, image button, toggle button. Next, the radio button is also the radio button, switch button. Like there are different button types are there. Next, image view, autocomplete text view, autocomplete text view, spinner, list view, gallery, grid view, web view. Next, fragments, view flipper and view switcher. So these are some of the UI components in Android. We'll discuss all these UI groups and UI components. So text view. I told you, right, there are 4 components in Android. What are the 4 components? Activity, service, broadcast receiver, and content provider. Activity means what? The user interface. So if you want to present the user interface, these are the different UI components and UI groups. Okay. So first in the activity part, we'll discuss all these things. So how to present the different UI components. So these are the different UI components in Android. So next thing is, what is the first UI group? The first UI group is what? Linear layout. So by using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components in a vertical or horizontal format. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components in a vertical or horizontal format, one after another. By using linear layout, we can arrange the UI components in a vertical or horizontal format, one after another. Okay. So the syntax to create linear layout is, so linear layout layout underscore width. I'm specifying few properties. I'll explain you what is this width and all. Orientation you have to specify either vertical or horizontal. So inside this UI group, you have to write the logic to create the UI components. So this is the syntax for creating the linear. By using linear layout, you can arrange the UI components in vertical or horizontal format, one after the other. So in the applications, maximum we use is linear layout. In the industry, we never use relative layout. The industry we never use what? Relative layout. We use maximum either linear layout or the table layout. I will tell you why we prefer the linear layout and table layout. Why not? Okay. So this is the first UI group. The linear layout. By using this linear layout, you can arrange the UI components in vertical format or in a horizontal format, one after another. So meaning, so for example, if this is the screen, this is a device screen, let us say. So here, I want to present a text here. I want to present on some text exactly at center of the screen. I want to present, let us say. So I want to present some text exactly at center of the screen. I want to present. Imagine I taken a UI group called linear layout. What is a UI group? Linear layout. By using linear layout, we can present the UI components either in a vertical format, one after another, or in a horizontal format we can present. So meaning if you want to present a text view component here, you have to fill all these things. You have to fill this entire gap, then only you can create a UI component. If you want to present some text, if you want to present a UI component here, what you have to do? By using linear layout, either you can present in a vertical format you can present or in a horizontal format you can present. So if you want to present a UI component here, what you have to do? You have to fill this gap. You have to fill this gap, then only you can create a component. So here, by using linear layout, if you want to present this one, if you want to present the exact center of the screen, you have to fill this entire gap, you have to fill it, then only you can present. By using linear layout, you can present the UI components. One after, if you want to present the UI component here, you have to fill this entire gap, then only you can present. At that time, you can go for relative layout. At that time, you can go for relative layout. So here, we discuss the remaining other UI groups. Right now, we are using what? Linear layout we are using. So either you can present the UI components in a vertical or horizontal format. So here we'll do, in place of this relative layout, just 1 second, I'll increase the font size. Is it visible? Remember text. So here, what is the UI group? What is the UI group we are taking? Linear layout. So you know XML rules, right? XML file should contain only one root element. So what is the root element here? Linear layout. Okay. So here we created a UI group. I'll explain you what is this match parent and what is this hide parent. Okay. Next. So for the linear layout, we have to specify one more property that is Android colon orientation we had to specify either vertical or horizontal. I specified the orientation is vertical. So you understand two things here. In the linear layout, you know what is in the linear layout, you know. I want to arrange the UI components in a one after another format. You know what is this XML NS and the URL, and you know the last statement, Android colon orientation. So you have to understand these two things. The width and height. Okay. So here, for every UI group and UI component, for every UI group and the UI component, for every UI group and the UI component, so we have to specify the width and height. For every UI group and UI component, we had to specify the width and height. For every UI group and UI component, we had to specify the width and height. So following are the possible parameters to specify the width and height. Following are the possible parameters to specify the width and height. Okay. The possible parameters are: one is match parent, match parent, match parent or fill parent. Match parent, fill parent, wrap content. Either you can specify in pixels format, you can specify either you can specify in dps. Match parent, fill parent, wrap content, pixels and dps. So these are the 5 possible parameters to specify the width and height. These are the 5 possible parameters to specify the width and height. Everyone is looking at watches. So for every UI group and UI component, we had to specify what? The width and height we had to specify. Okay. Let us take my requirement is. My requirement is I want to present some user interface. Some UI components I want to present in this format. Some UI components I want to present. And after that, I want to create some more UI components in this format I want to present. So I want to present some UI components in a vertical format I want to present. After that vertical format, I want to present the user interface in this format I want to present. So what I have to do? The first thing is, main thing is I want to take on linear layout. Linear layout, the orientation is what? Orientation is vertical. Okay. You take on linear layout, orientation is vertical orientation. You have to specify how much size you want to occupy on the screen. How much size you want to occupy? For the main linear layout, totally you have to use three things here. For the main linear layout, we have to specify I want to occupy the entire screen width and entire screen height. To occupy the entire screen width and screen height, you can specify either match parent or fill parent. So here the properties are match parent and fill parent both are same. Actually match parent is the latest one. Previously it's fill parent. Still it's duplicated, but they are not removed. Still in the specification. Okay. But both meaning is same, which is used to occupy the entire screen width and screen height. Okay. So here if you specify the width for each and UI group and UI component. So these two properties are common. Definitely you have to specify the width and height. So in our example, So in our example, so let us take for the main linear layout. For the main linear layout, we had to specify. I want to occupy the entire screen with a screen height. Inside that linear layout, we had to create one more linear layout. We had to create. For this linear layout, I don't want to occupy the entire screen height. Occupy entire screen width, but height. I don't want to occupy the entire screen because it occupies the entire screen width, screen height. There is no chance of creating other components. So how much space you want to occupy for this one? How much space you want to occupy? Let us say 50%. Okay. So imagine at that time, what is the next property here? Wrap content in the sense up to the content. Wrap content means what? Up to the content. Let us take for some. So let us say up to the content in the sense up to the content. So let us say here you get 3D cards. For one user you get 3D cards. At that time occupy up to this one. For one more user you get 4 things. Occupy up to this. For one more user you get 10 things like this I get. So occupy up to the content. So that is wrap content up to the content. But what are it will be the actual input values? I want to occupy exactly half part of the screen for this part and half part of the screen for or this for this UI group or for this screen I want to occupy. Let us take 400 pixels I want to occupy. Directly by specify pixels. But there is a problem if you specify in 400 pixels. Imagine my device screen height is 500 pixels first. The device screen height is what? 500 pixels. So let us say 250 is the height I will specify for this, and 250 is the height I will specify for this. In Android, there is no some standard resolutions, right? One user will install my application in 1024 by from 2560 resolution. 1024 is the width, 2560 is the height. At that time also it will occupy 250 and 250 on. But what about the remaining space? Waste of time. Okay. So at that time, we specify the property in dps. Automatically it will increase the size. Okay. In 500 screen resolution, we specify 250 is the size. So now we install the same application in 2560. In 2560, what is the screen height? So in case of 500 250, right? In case of 2560, what is? Automatically we calculate the size and automatically it increase based on the screen resolution. So Android is preferred to use dps than the pixels. So if you want to specify some specific size, Android is preferred what? dps. So here we created linear layout. We created inside this linear layout. We created on linear layout. We created. What is your requirement? I want to display some text. What text I want to display? Hello world message I want to display. Or welcome to APSSD I want to display. If you want to display some message, if you want to display, what is the UI component we have to use? What is the UI component? I given some UI components list, right? What is the UI component we had to use? Text view we had to use for displaying the text. So here, an XML file, text. Specify the width and height. Specify the width and height. So width occupies the match parent, occupy the entire screen, but height don't occupy the entire screen. Height occupy up to the content. That is wrap content. And next, so up to the content. So whatever the text is there, occupy up to that much. Okay. It's not working this. So and whatever the text you want to display, specify that one by using Android : text. So what is the message you want to display? Welcome to APSSD. So we created XML file we created. If you want to see how it will print on the screen, select graphical layout. If you select the graphical layout, it will show the preview, how it will print on the screen. Welcome to APSSD. Okay. So we created an XML file we created manually. We are not used drag and drop, right? We created the XML file by using manually we created the XML file. Okay, so this is see signal ka chala undi boss. Ika manam పేర్ల దగ్గరే ఉన్నాం. Okay, so try to adjust. Okay, see paladu panel gatledu so see now later we see all the problems. Okay, so my requirement is initially I want to display a message as welcome to APSS. It is displaying the text or not? Yes, it is displaying the text. So half part is completed. For our requirement, if you want to display something on the screen, we have to create two files. We have to create for XML file. We have to create and one Java file. So XML part is complete. Next, we have to create a Java. Okay. So we discuss the Java part in the next week. It will take some time. It will take. We will చిక్కుకొని ఉండాలంటే కొంచెం తొందరగా అవుతుంది. So tomorrow we'll discuss that Java part. So I'll take some long sessions tomorrow and if it is possible day after tomorrow. I'll take some long sessions tomorrow and day after tomorrow. మీకు వేరే వాళ్ళు వచ్చి తీసుకుంటే బాగుంటుందా నేను వచ్చి తీసుకుంటే బాగుంటుంది. సో మీకు ఏది కావాలంటే అదే. సో don't give commitments for anyone. Okay, so give an appointment for me tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Okay, we'll discuss a lot of topics tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Shut up,